Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Ioris, and on behalf of the White Plains Performing Arts Center and the City of White Plains, we would like to welcome you here this evening. I would like to take a moment to apologize for the appearance of the building right now. We are in the process of setting up our December show, which is Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, and we're in process of transforming the building into early 19th century London for a big musical that opens here on December the 3rd and closes on December the 30th, and we hope you all can join us. We hope you are all comfortable, and now I would like to introduce the mayor of the City of White Plains, Tom Roach.
Thank you, John, and thank you all for being here. I mean, we're really pleased with the turnout and the response we've had as we move through the early stages of working on the comprehensive plan has been tremendous. So thank you all for participating. Just a note about the Performing Arts Center. As you know, performing arts centers across the country were in a sea of difficulty during COVID. Obviously, they could not have performances, and so I just want to thank John and everybody here at the Performing Arts Center for keeping it going. And you know, one thing we did do was improve the ventilation system during that time period, because reading the handwriting on the wall was that when they do let them open, we don't want to then say, oh, we need to do the ventilation system. So so we're already done, and that is part of the reason why we're here for the comprehensive plan, to plan for the future. It's been about the average time of communities since our last comprehensive plan redo, but the COVID slowed us down a bit, obviously, because we wanted to have at least some of this be in person. And we're glad to see you all here this evening. This is titled One White Plains, and the reason it is entitled One White Plains is, I think, my belief, which I'm sure you share, is that what makes our community unique is the fact that we function as a single community, not a group of, we all have everyone lives in a neighborhood, but we work together as a community. Our kids go to school together, we work together, we play together, and that's something we want to do, is plan together. And we want to make sure all voices are heard. So we're not relying solely on having meetings at night with people, but also offering people the opportunity to participate in ways other than that, who their schedules or their time commitments don't permit them to come out for meetings, that they can have their voice heard as well. So you're going to hear more about that from our Planning Commissioner, Christopher Gomez, and you'll hear from our consultants who we've brought in, who are well versed in comprehensive plan work. They've done it in plenty of other communities, but you know, my focus is this. Sometimes you can get into something like this and it can become divisive. But the way our city works is that when we're in trouble, we weave even more tightly together. And COVID was a great example of that. Working together, we all have gotten through it so far, and it's not over. And you know, we're just gonna, the finish line keeps moving back. But so I'll quickly pitch. You're all eligible for your boosters, so go get them, because it's going to be a good idea as we come into the winter. I just want to just say to all of you that your participation here is very valued, and we're ready to move forward with this. We're, as I said, in the early stages, and Commissioner Gomez will outline that in greater detail. But I just want to thank you for being here. All right, so enjoy the presentation. Is going to be relatively brief, and then we're going to move on to some more interactive parts of the program. So thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I almost forgot. I knew there was one thing I was forgetting, and I'm thinking, how am I forgetting this? Okay, we are joined by Council Member Justin Brash, Council Member Vicky Presser, Council Member Jen Puja, and Council President Nadine Hunt Robinson. And Councilman-elect Richard Payne, who's seated over here in the sports jacket, looking very, very, very cool. Okay, so I'll see you in the hallway after we break up and move outside, and I'm available to discuss anything you'd like to discuss.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can I get a round of applause? That was my stage debut, everybody. Thank you. So as the mayor said, this is the One White Plains initiative, again, where we are a wonderful city of neighborhoods, but we always plan and work together. So that really is the origin or the genesis story of this update to the comprehensive plan. This is our first large public workshop. As many of you know, the city's embarked on this process. It was about 5 months ago we started, and we've been out in the community. We've been using online resources and the like to really get maximum participation. So this evening, we're gonna try to do a quick presentation, roughly to about 7:30, and as the mayor noted, we're gonna be going into an interactive open house, which you all saw on your way in the lobby out there, outside the Performing Arts Center, till 9 o'clock. If you're really interested and engaged, I'm sure some of us will stay a little later. Just introductions, the mayor obviously noted all the council members that we have full participation this evening. I just wanted to put this up here. This is sort of the city staff, particularly from the planning department, and just highlighting the amount of expertise your city has in-house when it gets to planning and zoning issues, from the environment to housing to neighborhood coordination and the like. We're very fortunate with the resources the city has. And then finally, you'll be hearing briefly from BFJ Planning, the consulting firm that the city did contract with to help us in our efforts. And again, special thanks to John Ioris, chairman of the Performing Arts Center, for hosting us this evening, and Kathleen Davison, who's been wonderful helping us set up for the event. So what is a plan? In its easiest form, really, or way to explain, it's really an official long-range planning document, right? So it provides guidance, policy guidance for growth, development, land use, infrastructure, and services. What I like to say is a good comprehensive plan is really comprised of 4 elements. It's certainly aspirational, it's educational, it's got to be concise, and it's got to be dynamic. Meaning we know with COVID and everything that's happened in the last couple of years that we can't always see with a crystal ball what the future holds for the city. And why are we doing this? Really, it's about codifying a community vision, right? That's what this process is about. And what very often happens during these processes, and I've been through a few of them at the municipal side of it, is really there's a lot of discussion that talks about how are we going to shape the future, right? There's a notion of shaping what's coming, and there's also protecting, what the unknowns may be. So that's something that comes up quite a bit. And really this whole question or notion of what the community wants to be. And when we say community, I think it's important up front in the process to define who is the community. Certainly it's all the residents of the city. It's the business owners, the small business owners, the folks that come here every day to work and play and recreate. But we've been really, really diligent in our efforts to date to try to reach beyond the conventional outreach program that a lot of comprehensive plans start with in order to reach the greater community. And then I always like to say we have to acknowledge everybody in this process from the get-go that change is inevitable. As a living organism, our city obviously has to continue to grow. But how do we develop that growth? How do we plan for that growth? It's important. And then we cannot plan in a vacuum. We obviously are looking at regional trends in all this. Final point, and it's a big one, is equity planning. We talk a lot in the city planning field about sort of the power of land use planning documents and the legacy of what they're planning for, right? Or what they result in, I should say. So, the city was fortunate. We had our first comprehensive plan back in 1928, and we've had subsequent since then. And a lot of what you see in downtown White Plains and the neighborhoods were clearly articulated in a vision way back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, up to present day. So none of us take this, at least I can say, speaking on the municipal side, lightly. These documents have weight. They're the foundation for the zoning code and how the city will develop clearly for the next 15 or 20 years. And to that end, really looking through an equity lens of providing housing and density and sort of acknowledging the spatial mismatch between jobs and housing and how we can create better outcomes. So as I said, history back in 1928, the first plan, plans in 1962, significant urban renewal in the 1970s. Everybody's well aware. The western edge of our downtown underwent many, many changes. And then since then, plans in the 1970s, robust open space inventory in the early 90s, and then leading up to the 1997 comprehensive plan, which was subsequently updated in 2006. So So that is the last update, with some minor updates in 2012 to address a couple areas of the plan. One other item worth noting is that in addition to the comprehensive plan, the city is regularly providing land use guidance, community development guidance to the Common Council and the mayor. The Common Council and the mayor do adopt other plans outside of the comprehensive plan. This being an example, a consolidated plan to look at community needs and community development as part of the HUD funding CDBG program. And most recently, in my tenure with the city, about 3 years ago, we finalized the White Plains Transit District Strategic Plan, which really planned for the future kind of mixed-use, transit-oriented development around the White Plains station, the main White Plains Metro North station. Happy to say it's obviously resulted in a lot of private investment and some great infrastructure as well that we've gotten grant funding for. So the bike lane on Martine Avenue, bike storage, a bunch of other things that have improved the pedestrian condition. So what have we done so far with this initiative, One White Plains? We did post about 6 months ago on the onewhiteplains.com website a vision survey, the idea being, unlike the conventional planning process for a comprehensive plan, we wanted to spend about 5 to 6 months really getting out into the community, as I noted, and using all the tools, leveraging all the tools available to get information. So there's a vision survey, which I'll get into in a moment, the information handbook that you all got this evening and which has been online, and then multiple community meetings and site tours. What I'm most proud of is we're trying to be innovative to how could we, as a department and as the city, really reach deep into communities. Again, we've had many public workshops in this type of venue, but how can we get into the community and hear from folks that perhaps weren't as involved in the last planning process? And so we set up a series of 12 different listening tour events. Many of you in this room I know took part. And those blue dots represent where in the city we hosted, from the south to the north to the east to the west. And we heard from over 1,000 people. So it was wonderful that we really got to reach out both through the online tool and the listening tour. Just some examples of our vision board that we toted around the city, with many thanks to the Department of Public Works, and the sort of feedback we were getting. Robust online participation. So in addition to the vision survey you see in the upper right here, we had many other opportunities for folks to tell us more than just your 3 words for the future of White Plains. What would you like to see early on in the planning process? And I thought tonight would be a great opportunity to not necessarily go through all 400 of them, but to show you kind of the things that we were hearing in vision, right? So some wonderful things in 3 words or less. People of all ages and responses of what do we want to see. So everything from lower taxes to senior initiatives to obviously affordable housing was a very common response. A lot about recreation and open space and planning for multi-generational development, even down to take down the Galleria. So we have a lot of comments. We have thousands and thousands of different words that we're analyzing as part of our analysis moving forward. People told us more. It was more than just the 3 words for their vision. Examples, right? A lot of affordable housing comments about there being a shortage in the city. Pedestrian connectivity and open space. Clearly, we're leaders. Mixed-use development in the downtown, and quite a few comments celebrating the diversity of our city, both socioeconomically and in every way. Recreational opportunities, job interest, even have been to wildlife preservation and biodiversity corridors, and a lot about walkability. Interestingly, you're all over the map, obviously, with the comments, and some were very lofty, like, health equity and really getting into detail. And these are truncated versions of those responses, but, really global kind of comments. And then my favorite one of all 400 of these was about Zoe loving her school and Claire loving to ice skate from our 2- and 5-year-olds. So that was really good to see that probably our youngest participants are really engaged in the process. So we've been out for 6 months. We've heard from folks face-to-face. We've heard from online. We've presented all over the city. And part of this evening is to present to you the preliminary vision plan for the One White Plains document, as well as getting into very briefly before the interactive session, the elements of the plan as we see them in terms of codifying these different topical areas. So the preliminary vision, which of course is out there for you to comment on this evening, reads this way. So we are One White Plains, a welcoming and inclusive community with housing, employment, transportation, recreation, culture, shopping, and entertainment that fulfills the needs of our diverse population. A city where business and the arts thrive, where the natural environment is valued, and where public spaces are accessible, where we address regional, social, and economic trends to plan for an equitable and sustainable future. So again, this is a preliminary vision. We want to hear from you all this evening in terms of an encompassing kind of North Star, as it were, where this plan needs to start, and keeping this in mind as we look into the plan elements of who we are, who we want to be, or continue to be as One White Plains. So the elements that we have out there on those boards for you to comment on this evening, there are 6 of them, and they obviously hit on different topical areas. The first being green, or green WP, Green White Plains. Connect, about connectivity, of course. Live White Plains. Work White Plains. Strengthen White Plains. And play White Plains. So what do these mean? Green. The goal you'll see out there on the boards, and we want definite feedback from tonight, an overarching goal. We heard a lot during the process about limiting the impacts of climate change to ecological systems and the environment. So we've taken the initiative to break out some topical areas for discussion, and we have experts that will be out at the boards to help you along in your discussion. Things from climate resilience, clean energy, decarbonization, into open space, natural resources, environment. So that is sort of the elements where those concerns or issues or ideas for city initiatives, that discussion can take place. Connect, our overarching goal is providing an accessible, safe, pedestrian, and multi-modal transportation network. And then topical elements in terms of how this plan will be structured, obviously hit on biking, parking, streetcar-free zones, a lot of transit, and we heard probably more than anything is walkability, much like we heard during the Transit District Strategic Plan, is how do we kind of weave back sort of the western edge of our downtown, the urban fabric, back to what is a more pedestrian-friendly environment. Live White Plains, with a nod to historic Battle Hill, it was the best image we had. Facilitate livable neighborhoods that offer a variety of housing options. And clearly this is a big topic of discussion, as heard from our public outreach, all about accessibility, both affordability, ADA accessibility. Accessibility takes on many definitions. And really, obviously, this is where we're going to focus on sort of the downtown and neighborhood development, with a specific focus on neighborhood nodes, whether it be Rosedale or Gedney Way or those sort of areas of the city, up in Battle Hill, opportunities to both revitalize and enhance those particular nodes, which are critical to serving local neighborhoods. And then a lot on urban design and pocket parks, need for open space, both in the downtown and enhancing our neighborhood open space. Work, our major goal, support a diverse economy, attract jobs, and strengthen the role of White Plains as a regional economic hub. This is where the economic development discussion will happen, dealing with both major employers, small businesses, and really this whole notion of working from home and how that's changed all of our lives and how we can plan in the future from a land use perspective to accommodate that. And of course, workforce development, take into consideration the city's educational training center with WCC and other ways to upskill our residents for the new economy. Play White Plains. So our goal is to enhance the networks of parks, support recreational and cultural programming, and expand arts and entertainment options. This comes in when it comes to recreation, we heard quite a bit about the need for more active facilities. We're very fortunate, I know, in the city to have quite a few. But we also heard a lot about passive opportunities, smaller pocket parks in neighborhoods in the downtown. Clearly, arts and culture, we have a vibrant scene, entertainment. We're here in this wonderful venue this evening, but we heard a lot about having opportunities to enhance the entertainment in the city, and then dealing with programming, recreation, and a lot about year-round activities, about things obviously in the winter as it relates to youth and the seniors. So that was kind of a big takeaway we got in our public outreach. And finally, strengthen White Plains. The goal to allocate public resources to address the physical and social infrastructure needs of the community. Topical areas, city services, I can say, and I don't say this lightly, having worked for many municipalities in the region, that we're at the top of the heap when it comes to providing city services, both recreational, youth programming, et cetera. For a city of our size and our scale, we're definitely A1. So it's not necessarily about creating that level of service, but it's maintaining, I think, and finding out other opportunities, being creative with our wonderful youth bureau and recreation programs. Equitable resources and then infrastructure planning, capital planning for the needs of sewer capacity, for the example, roadways, and in other infrastructure. And this is where the schools and public safety section would be, as well as analyzing social services capacity and social justice issues. So before I turn it over to Simon Cates from our consultant BFJ, I just wanted to leave with this slide. And this is kind of going to be live, or it is live on the One White Plains website now. You have the opportunity, as Simon will get into in more detail, to comment from the comfort of your living room or wherever you may be on your phone on some of these issues, in addition to sort of the interactive open house. So again, I'm going to leave you with our 6 elements: green White Plains, live White Plains, work White Plains, connect White Plains, strengthen White Plains, and play White Plains. Simon.
Thanks, Chris. That was a great overview of sort of what we've done so far, and to give you all a sense of what we're trying to develop and how we're trying to think about this plan so that it is reflective of One White Plains as a holistic community. What I'm going to talk about here is just a couple of thoughts on the overall process, so you have an idea of what's to come down the line. And I'm going to close with just an intro for the interactive workshop. And I just have a handful of slides here, so we'll be ready to go back out into the lobby in just a moment. This is an overall timeline or project schedule that we have in mind here. A couple of things I want to point out here is just this area here is all of the different ideas about community engagement that we have planned going forward. And you can see the 6 elements that Chris mentioned down here. This is our plan for how we're going to start working on the content of the document. There are really 2 points that I want to make on this slide. I know there's a lot of information here, and we're going to put it up on the website so you can look at it more closely. But the 2 things I want to say here is that, number 1, we're way back here, right, here in 2021. Chris talked about the work that we've done so far, the vision survey, and other ways that we've heard from folks in the community already. But we're still very early on in the process. We're just at the beginning, and there are a lot of opportunities to participate down the road. And that's the other point that I want to make here, is that this is the first public workshop. There are going to be other public workshops in different formats, other ways to participate online, and other creative ideas that our team is working on to make sure that we're hearing from everyone in the community. So that's sort of the plug here to tell folks here, if you're listening at home, I didn't know about the listening tour, or I didn't know about the vision survey. That's okay, right? You're here now, and we're going to hear from you tonight. Or if you go home and you talk to your neighbors or your friends and they say, oh, I wish I knew about that workshop, I would have come. That's okay too. You can participate online, and there's going to be plenty of other opportunities to get involved down the road. Here are just some of the examples. If you go to onewhiteplains.com, throughout the course of the next year and a half, there's going to be more information about different ways that you can get involved and make sure that your voice is heard and that your ideas are part of what we're working on here. So the website here, onewhiteplains.com, I want to keep plugging that because that's going to be where we keep a lot of the information about the process going forward. But it's not just about how to get involved. It's also going to be a lot of other information about what we're working on as a team. And so there's some great information up there now, maps about the city that help put things in context, some of the existing conditions that we're looking at, some of the existing plans and reports that Chris talked about. If you're curious, hey, what were they talking about back in 1928? And how did that reflect upon the city that we see today? A lot of those reports are online, and you can look at them and see what that history is. And also you see there's just an image of a video down in the bottom right-hand corner here. Events like this that we're videotaping will also be posted online. So if someone wasn't able to make it out tonight, or if you want to go back and see something again that you heard, all of these types of resources are going to be available on onewhiteplains.com. Another process thing, just to give you a sense of what the content of the plan is going to look like. We start to outline these documents early on in the process. That helps us sort of work our way through. So there'll be an introduction. That vision statement and planning goals, which we're working on with all of you tonight, will be front and center in the plan. The third section is really getting into the meat of the plan, the 6 elements, the policy recommendations that are going to help guide the future of the city. And really important, section 4 at the bottom of the screen there is implementation. We always like to work very closely with the city to make sure that all the policy initiatives or other ideas in the plan aren't just in the abstract. We want to try to help you all think about, all right, if these are the ideas, the consensus ideas in this planning document, how do we make sure that they can actually be carried out in the future? So the implementation section is something that we close with to make sure that the document is actionable, is dynamic, as Chris said. Online community engagement is going to be critical to the entire process. This is something that our team has worked on over the years. It's even more important in the age of COVID, where some folks maybe don't want to come out to a public workshop, or maybe they have other obligations and they aren't able to make it to an evening event. So again, go to onewhiteplains.com and click on the Participate tab. There's an activity up there now that mirrors what we're going to work on tonight in the interactive open house session. But there are going to be additional ways that people can provide input on the website as well. And so just last couple of slides here, and we'll get out into the interactive open house. So just a couple of ideas or instructions about what we want to try to get out of tonight. You see the 6 elements here on the right side of the slide that Chris talked about. And also the vision statement that all of you may have seen on your way in. What we want to do tonight is hear from you, are we on the right track? Is the vision sort of capturing the right ideas based on that vision survey that we heard from everyone in the community? Are the goals for each of the elements capturing what you think that element needs to say? But you can also start to tell us what are some specific initiatives that the city might consider in order to achieve that goal? So we think about this moment in the process as a way to transition from we're thinking about what the vision is and these goals to what's next, right? A lot of people have provided input on visioning so far, and you might be saying to yourself, all right, we've talked about this already. I have other ideas. I have more specific ideas. We want to hear those from you tonight as well. So as you all came in, hopefully you all received a little goodie bag with your own marker and Post-it notes. So the idea is you'll write your comments on those Post-it notes and you stick them on the boards out in the lobby. You can write directly on the board. You can write on the maps, but the Post-it notes are there as well to help you write your ideas down. And as well, we're running a sort of a parallel online version of this workshop. So folks who are listening from home, someone who wasn't able to make it out tonight, there's a tool online. If you click on the Participate tab, which you see right up here on the screen, you'll be able to view a similar version of what we're doing tonight online. So you'll be able to participate and provide your comments. And the screen is going to look something like this, right? So strengthen White Plains is one of the elements. There's the list of the planning goals and the topics, and a comment box where you can put in your feedback. So if you're here tonight and you provide some feedback and you go home and realize, oh, I had some other ideas, I didn't get to put them on there, you can go online. If you're not able, if folks listening from home, if you didn't make it here tonight, you can still participate online as well.
Well, I'm a councilman here, so I think the city's in great shape and is doing extraordinarily well, but it's very important to have citizen input to make sure we understand what our population thinks and wants.
thought the presentation was really good, or I thought the presentation was really good and informative. But we have a lot more work to do in our comprehensive plan. Now I'll turn it over to my friend Charlene.
I thought it was really good as well. I just wish that we could reach more people to get them out to talk about it. This is just the beginning, and there's a lot more work to be done.
I thought the presentation was wonderful. It really, the spirit was high, the passion was great, and it's great to be in this environment with these residents who really want to see a new White Plains, a White Plains that is inclusive, that engages everyone in the next century. So I'm happy to be here, and from a youth perspective, we're looking to strengthen our youth community, offering more opportunities, especially in the apprentice area, whether it's plumbing or carpentry or in electrical kinds of opportunities. So we think that this kind of forum helps to move us in that direction, because then we can put our hearts, minds, and passion behind it. So I think this is a good start to bring people together to talk about the future of White Plains.
Acá soy Víctor Cáceres, vivo acá en White Plains por como más de 35 años. Mis hijas nacieron acá en los hospitales de White Plains, tengo 4. Y también ahora, después de 20 años, ellos son profesores también en las escuelas de White Plains. Nos gusta White Plains por muchísimas razones, por el development que está haciendo la ciudad, incluyendo a todos los ciudadanos del área, y por el gran evento que están organizando, cómo va White Plains va a ir para 21 Century. Está desarrollando en todas las áreas, hay como 8 tópicos creo, y está encaminándose por un muy buen camino. Esperamos apoyarlos en lo que más necesite, en lo que más necesite la ciudad de White Plains. Como ciudadanos tenemos que apoyarlos, porque la visión es muy grande para White Plains. Entonces se está desarrollando como una de las zonas más prósperas después de Nueva York. Tenemos casi de todo en White Plains, y bueno, estamos acá apoyándolos desde hace 35 años y me siento parte de la ciudad, ¿no? Me siento como un inmigrante, parte de esta gran ciudad.
My name is Simon Cates. I'm an associate principal with BFJ Planning. Great turnout tonight for the first public workshop for One White Plains. Heard a lot of really interesting ideas from members of the public. See some of them here. Just different ideas about how we can start thinking about how to improve White Plains going forward. It's a great kickoff for the process.
Hola, buenas noches a todos. Me llamo Cristina Jiménez. Yo estoy parte de la compañía de consultantes BFJ Plan, que está trabajando con la ciudad en el nuevo plan comprensivo que se llama One White Plains. Y plan comprensivo es un documento que ayuda a guiar la ciudad por próximos 10 años o más. Y cada 10 años o más lo cambian, lo arreglan. ¿Qué está pasando en este tiempo? A los residentes, los trabajadores, a todos. Y quería enfocar para la comunidad latina que también estoy aquí para ayudar que la voz también se alcanza de nosotros todos. Y también los materiales para la presentación y todo lo que hacemos está bilingüe en las 2 lenguas. Y en esta noche estamos haciendo el primer taller público para empezar el proceso que va a ser 18 meses. Y aquí tenemos en las estaciones el visión y también temas que viene con el plan para ayudar la ciudad en los 10 años, como dice. La voz de ustedes en qué necesita para la vivienda, para trabajos, digamos, parques, qué necesitan, qué son sus preocupaciones. Aquí es un lugar donde puedes decirlos y ahí lo incluimos en el plan y ahí salir con recomendaciones para alcanzar estas preocupaciones de ustedes. Y durante el proceso quiero decirles que van a tener más oportunidades para hablar con nosotros, para decir de todo lo que estás pensando. Y también en el internet hay también un chance para poner su voz ahí.